Hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you this morning with a book tag. I know it's Friday Reads. However, I'm still working on some big books and I haven't finished anything, and I didn't want Friday Reads to just become redundant on what I'm working on. So I decided to do a tag instead. I had been watching some videos, and one of the videos that pulled up in my feed a couple days ago was the I love the book, I love the movie tag. And I saw this on Steve Donoghue's channel, and it was exactly a year ago when I saw it, or when it was made, excuse me. He made it on November 11th, and I watched it on November 11th. And so he did his in 2019, so I'm doing mine for 2020. And I know November 11th was Wednesday and this is Friday, but that's okay. It was originally done by Joey at Game of Authors, and it's a pretty cool tag. You basically just take your top 10 book to movie adaptations, and you love the book, you love the movie. It's pretty simple. I think he wanted to try to maybe put them in order 1 through 10, and I don't think I can do that. So I'm just going to give you 10 of my favorites. And these are just the ones that popped into my head throughout the day on Wednesday after I'd watched it. And I kind of jotted them down. I actually had a list of like almost 25 of them that I had to kind of whittle down. So I got it to 10, and actually it's 12, but oh well. So let me share with you some of my favorite. I love the book, I love the movie. And so right at the top, one of my all-time favorite movies, and I bought the book and I loved the book. Well, the book was Shoeless Joe by W.P. Kinsella. And the movie, which you're probably even more familiar with, is Field of Dreams. It is probably the all-time best baseball movie ever, at least in my opinion, and I think there's probably a lot of people that would agree with me. The book was just as good. There's a few differences between the two, but not very many. I thought they did a pretty good job of sticking with the story. It was a 1980s movie. I got the date for most of these. I think I forgot to grab the date on that one. But it was a 1980s movie done with Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones, and oh my goodness, it is awesome. It's all about baseball and second chances, and just the father-son relationship and how special that is, but also how volatile that can be. And it's just got a lot of cool themes running through it, and since I was a little kid, it has been right up there at the top of my list of all-time favorite movies. And like I said, I can't remember the exact year. I was thinking mid to late 80s, but forgive me if I'm wrong. And then also in that number one slot, and again, these are not in order necessarily, it's just the order that they're on my paper. Because I'm a huge baseball fan, I put this one. It's not, and I'm not saying it's better than Field of Dreams, but it is another really, really good one. The book was by Michael Shihara, and it was For Love of the Game, and the movie's the same title. And this is a more recent movie, but Kevin Costner again is in the movie, and he co-stars with Kelly Preston, and there's a whole host of other famous actors and actresses that are in that. But For Love of the Game is about a baseball pitcher who has had a spectacular career in baseball, and he's at the end of his career, and all athletes get to that point where they have to figure out whether they need to hang it up or not, whether to retire. And he's at that point. His team is financially in trouble, and they're looking to trade him, and he doesn't want to go to another team. And so throughout the movie, it's going on, basically this idea of, do I get traded or do I just retire? Can I go out on a high note? And he's pitching a perfect game. And so the movie moves along from inning to inning, and the drama builds up to the 9th inning. Can he finish the game one last time? Can he? I think the quote from the movie, can he push that sun up in the sky for one last time, or something like that. The announcer at the end says, I think it's Vin Scully, I think is who it's supposed to be that's doing the announcing. But anyway, all right, so my second one I had on the list was All Quiet on the Western Front. And what an awesome, powerful anti-war book and movie. It was by Eric Maria Remarque, and I hope I'm saying the name right. Pardon me if I'm not. But I went with, there's been a couple different versions of this movie, but I went with the 1979 version starring Richard Thomas. And this book and movie is all about, it's about World War I, and it's from the German perspective, okay? And it's about some young kids who, through the rah-rah-ree of, support the motherland and stuff like that, they go to war, they sign up, they go to war, and they find out that war is not what they have been told. The reality of it is terrible. And so it's kind of an anti-war theme throughout the whole thing, and it's basically, can we make it till the end? And one by one, characters are either seriously injured or they die, and your main character's trying to make it to the end, and he becomes very, very cynical of everything. And it's very, very good, very, very powerful. Highly recommended. I use it every year in my 7th grade class when we're going through World War I. And matter of fact, we're getting ready to watch that next week. And so, yeah, very powerful. I highly recommend it. Number 3, I went back into my childhood for this one. We read The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford, and it's got a couple different versions that I like. I like the 1963 version of this, that as far as the movie goes. I like that older version. It's a classic. I watched it, was it earlier this year maybe? And I had read the book earlier this year. Or maybe I was reading the book and I had the old movie running through my head. I can't remember. Anyway, but I also like in the one that I was introduced to it was the 1993 Michael J. Fox version, which was absolutely fun. He plays the voice of the dog Chance, I think is his name. And but anyway, it's about 2 dogs and a cat who their owners have left, and they are trying to go across country to find those owners, and they get into many misadventures along the way. And it's about a friendship between all 3 of these animals, and how they love one another and they take care of one another, and just a really sweet story. Number 4 on my list, again, these are not all in order, because this one right here is one of my all-time favorites. Favorite book, favorite movie, is Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. I have always loved this book. It's one of those books, when you read in school and they give you a book to read, and as a student you're like, ugh, and you don't want to read it. This was not the case. I got right into this book, and after the first chapter, I think it took 1 chapter to get into it, but once I got past that first chapter, when I was a kid, I was all in. I loved this story, absolutely loved the movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a 1992, and it stars John Malkovich and Gary Sinise, and Gary Sinise is one of my all-time favorite actors. And, of course, John Malkovich's awesome, too. And they play George and Lenny, the main characters in the story. And they are migrant workers, and they go from farm to farm in California. I believe it's California. And they are working on these farms. And Lenny is mentally handicapped, but he's big and strong, can do heavy work, but he always seems to do something to mess up their time on the ranch, wherever they're at. They get into many adventures along the way, and Gary Sinise plays George, and he's always having to get Lenny, played by John Malkovich, always having to get him out of trouble, and they're always having to move on to the next farm. And then, of course, I won't spoil it, but there's a super duper sad scene at the end where you have to talk about love and friendship, and talk about it in its deepest meaning. And it's powerful. You need to watch it if you haven't seen it. The fifth one that I chose, and this actually was not, I don't believe it was a book first. I believe this one was actually a movie first, and then it was written into a book adaptation. And How the West Was Won. Awesome, awesome Western. Absolutely love it. 1962 movie. It had like a whole bunch of pretty famous actors and actresses. It had John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart, Gregory Peck, Carol Baker, Debbie Reynolds. I mean, it was an all-star cast, and it was a really, really fun Western. The book was written by Louis L'Amour, but I believe, like I said, I believe Louis L'Amour wrote the book as an adaptation to the movie, and I liked both of them. I thought they were both really good. My next one on the list, how could I do a list like this? Of course, without one of my favorite authors, John Jakes, his North and South series. I absolutely love the books, and the 1985 adaptation of the TV miniseries. I bought that, and I've absolutely loved it as well. It was it starred James Reed and Patrick Swayze, but it also had a whole bunch of other big name people throughout the miniseries. Kirstie Alley, David Carradine, had Johnny Cash, just a lot of them. And it's a Civil War story, all about the split between North and South. A couple of friends, they go to West Point together. One's from South Carolina, one's from Pennsylvania, and they build this relationship, this friendship while they're at West Point, and they end up going to the Mexican War together, and then of course it goes throughout the 1850s and into the Civil War, and excuse me, and it builds on this, and of course the troubles of the time period between North and South, the slavery issue comes up throughout the whole series, and I absolutely love it. It is one of my all-time favorites, and this next summer, it's one of my my rereads I'm going to do for my 2021 TBR list, and I'm pretty excited about that because I haven't read that one I haven't reread that one in a while, so I'm due. Number 7 on the list was Lonesome Dove. It was a book by Larry McMurtry, just a sweeping novel. It is about a couple of guys who were Texas Rangers, and they're in the retirement years, or trying to be in the retirement years, and they are going from Texas, and they're taking a cattle herd to Montana, and they're going to try to get into cattle ranching as a full-time business. And it's about that friendship between these two guys, these two Texas Rangers, and all of the people that they've met throughout their career. Absolutely awesome book, and it's a monster. It's a big old thick thing, and they remade it into a TV miniseries in 1989, and it starred 2 of my all-time favorite actors, Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones. I absolutely love them, but man, the cast of other actors was absolutely awesome. Also, it had Danny Glover, Robert Urich, Diane Lane, Ricky Schroeder, Chris Cooper, Angelica Houston. There's a bunch of them I'm not naming. It was awesome movie. They get into a lot of adventures on the way there, and it's a sweeping novel of the Wild West, or the taming. It was a bit of the taming of the West, and highly recommend that one. And the book's a fast read, even though it's big, thick thing. It's a fast read. Number 8 on the list is The Killer Angels by Michael Shihara, and they remade this book into a movie in 1993 called Gettysburg, and a lot of you may have seen that one. It was a pretty awesome war movie, pretty long. Was it 3.5 hours or so? I can't remember. I'd have to check. But it had Jeff Daniels, Tom Berenger, Stephen Lang, Martin Sheen, Sam Elliott. Big cast, and it's all about the Battle of Gettysburg. The movie was phenomenal. I watch it every year when I'm doing my Civil War unit at school, and honestly, I guess I gotta be honest on this. Sorry, I got a little bug buzzing around here, a little mosquito. But I have not read this book yet. I have it on my shelf, and I have not read it. I need to read it. It's not real big. It's only, I'm guessing 300 pages, maybe 250, 300. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It's not very big, but I got to get that read. But the movie is one of my favorite war movies. So number 9 on it, I picked a love story here. I don't read a lot of love stories, but this one was a book that my wife bought me for my his birthday or Christmas. I can't remember. I think it was Christmas. But it was called Dear John by Nicholas Sparks. And it's about a soldier who comes back from war, meets a girl, goes back to war, and it's their letters in between and trying to keep what could be a beautiful relationship. And when he comes back from war, how we deal with that. And it was great. Wonderful story. And I was sitting right here when I was reading that book, and my wife was in the other room on the couch, and all of a sudden, I mean, I'm at the end of the book, and I'm teary-eyed with the ending of it, and I'm sniffling. I'm sniffling, and she's in there, "Are you crying?" And so I had to go in and, kind of half explain, because I wanted her to read the book, but I had to half explain why I was crying. Grown man crying at a book here. But they made this into a movie in 2010 by the same name, Dear John, and it starred Channing Tatum and Amanda Seyfried, and it was good. The only problem I had with it was the ending of the book and the ending of the movie were, if I remember correctly, they were different, and that bothered me. I remember that really bothering me, but I liked them both. They were both really good, and that's the only. No, never mind. So number 10, I also have to get my other 2 favorite authors in there, and John Grisham and A Time to Kill, and also in this number 10 slot was Michael Crichton in Jurassic Park. And yes, I know I can't count. That's actually 12 books, but I put them in the same one because I'm supposed to only have 10. I couldn't do it. Sorry. But A Time to Kill was one of it was Grisham's first book. Absolutely loved it. They made it into a movie in 1996 starring Matthew McConaughey, Samuel L. Jackson, Sandra Bullock, Ashley Judd, Kevin Spacey. So great acting cast. And it is set in the South in Mississippi, Clanton, Mississippi. And it's all about an African-American man who his daughter is raped by 2 white men, 2 rednecks, and they were at the courthouse, and it looked like they possibly could get off scot-free without having anything done. It was a possibility, and the dad, played by Samuel L. Jackson, goes into the courthouse, plots it all out, goes in and shoots the 2 dudes, and so the whole book is around the court case of Samuel L. Jackson's character, and it's do you find him guilty of murder, or is it temporary insanity? And he's protecting his family. He was protecting his family, and so that becomes a huge. And of course, then you get into the whole race issue, and as the court case shows up, you have a whole big group of Carl Lee Haley, which is the character's name, Samuel L. Jackson's character's name. They got a whole bunch of supporters who've come in. It's like a civil rights rally, basically. And then on the other side of the sidewalk is the KKK have all showed up, and so it's a back and forth battle between the two. And I love the book, and I love the movie. And then, like I said, the last one, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. It's great. I love Michael Crichton's stuff. The movie was from 1993, and it starred Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and it had a whole bunch of other characters that are pretty, famous actors that were side characters. But this is a awesome science fiction movie where they've taken, they brought dinosaurs back, and it was like the little kid. The little kid in me was so very excited, even though I would have been almost a teenager. I would have been 12, 13 years old. I don't remember exactly when this came out. depending on what time of year, but I've been 12 or 13, and it made me feel like a little first grader, all with the excitement of dinosaurs. And it was just a really, really good book that made you think about the what if, and maybe we could. And they bring back dinosaurs on this little island off the coast of, I believe it was Costa Rica. I might be off on the country, but it's down Central America off the coast, this little island. And they take the DNA extraction from some mosquitoes that had bit a dinosaur, had some blood in it. So they pulled some of that blood out and did a lot of DNA work, and they were able to reproduce dinosaurs. And they made this whole island full of dinosaurs. It was really, really cool. And it's a misadventure of, or an adventure / misadventure of what to do with cloning. Of course, cloning was really becoming, that was the time period they were working on that. And so this is one of those, like I said, one of these what ifs and maybe we could type movies and stories. But anyway, thank you, BookTube, for watching. This is the I Love the Book, I Love the Movie tag. And it's from last year, but still a really fun tag. I saw it on Steve Donoghue's, and the original, again, was done by Joey at Game of Authors. And I will put the link to both of those videos down below in the description. Go check them out. Watch those. They had some really good answers as well. And this is a really hard one. If you are a movie fan and a book fan, this is a really, really hard one to do, just to try to narrow it down. Like I said, I had 25 or so picked out, and I had to narrow it down. But anyway, thank you for watching. This has been a lot of fun, and happy reading.